This video is brought to you by True Tales of Buried Treasure, the largest collection of old treasure magazines in the West. On our website, you can search for individual treasure stories by region, or buy our original magazines themselves. To pay us a visit, please click on the link in the description. Enjoy. In the arid wastelands of northwestern New Mexico lies a buried treasure trove of $50,000 in gold coins and bullion. This was its value when it was stolen from a stagecoach in 1874. Given today's prices, the treasure is worth much more. Though northwestern New Mexico covers a vast area, a few landmarks narrow down the search area to approximately 10 square miles. The story begins with a stagecoach robbery carried out by Wharton and his partner. The robbery went smoothly, and they escaped with a good head start. However, they soon realized that their loot was too heavy, slowing them down. Desperately needing another pack animal, they came across a Navajo camp. Wharton offered to buy 2 horses, but the Indian refused, as he needed his horses. In a hurry, Wharton threw a few coins at the Indian's feet, cut the 2 best horses from the herd, and rode off. The Indian was lucky to escape with his life and some payment for his animals, as fugitives have little patience for obstacles. Continuing their escape, Wharton and his partner reached Largo Canyon and followed it north to the San Juan River. They forded the river and headed northwest into a range of low hills. From a good vantage point, they saw dust clouds kicked up by pursuing horsemen. They continued northwest, reached Potter Canyon, but did not cross it to avoid exposure. As the posse closed in, they searched for a place to hide their loot, knowing they could travel faster without it and avoid being caught with stolen money. Eventually, they arrived at a sandstone outcropping shaped by wind and water into a natural arch. Recognizing it as the perfect spot to hide their loot, Wharton and his partner quickly buried the gold a few feet beneath the sand. The arch was a distinctive landmark they wouldn't forget, especially since arches were rare in that area. After hiding the treasure, they continued northwest. About 2 miles west of Knickerbocker Peaks, the posse caught up with them. The Navajo, from whom Wharton had forcibly taken the horses, was guiding the posse. This gave him a chance to get revenge and reclaim his horses. If Wharton hadn't made an enemy of the Navajo, they might never have been caught. Despite denying any knowledge of the robbery or the gold, both bandits were eventually tried, convicted, and sentenced to long prison terms. Shortly after the turn of the century, Wharton returned to New Mexico alone to search for the buried gold. His partner had died, so he relied solely on his memory to locate the site. He easily found Largo Canyon, recognizing it unmistakably. He knew where he had forded the river, and the landscape to the northwest had changed little since he last saw it. Even today, it looks much as it did 100 years ago, with few roads and pipelines crisscrossing an otherwise untouched land. Wharton eagerly searched for the rock arch, but the longer he searched, the more discouraged he became. He found Knickerbocker Peaks, near where he had been captured, and the mouth of Largo Canyon. Potter Canyon's open wash was right where he expected it to be. The 3 landmarks formed a neat triangle, within which he expected to find the sandstone arch with the gold buried at its base. However, despite his efforts, Wharton couldn't find the arch. He concluded that the elements must have destroyed it over the years. Certain of his landmarks, he was convinced he was in the right area, but the arch was nowhere to be found. Finally, Wharton decided to confide in a local man and enlist his help in searching the area. Together, they examined every arch and window known to exist between the Moo River and the San Juan River. They found several arches that looked similar but not the right one. Wharton was specifically searching for an arch, not a window, which is different. Even assuming the arch had crumbled, Wharton couldn't possibly dig at the base of every sandstone formation in the area. Admitting defeat, he left and never returned. Since everyone in our family is a treasure hunter at heart, we decided to search the area where Wharton's loot is hidden. From Bloomfield, we drove east on a paved road toward Blanco until we were opposite the mouth of Largo Canyon, where Wharton had forded the river with his stolen gold. Doubling back, we went as far west as Potter Canyon. For most of the way, the road that leads up Potter Canyon follows the west side of the canyon. Wharton didn't cross the canyon, staying on the east side. After reaching the canyon, numerous roads branch off eastward, allowing access to the east side. The road up Potter Canyon leads to Knickerbocker Peaks, where Wharton was captured a few miles north. This was a good place to double back from and start looking between there and the San Juan River. Just before Knickerbocker Peaks, we turned back and studied all the sandstone formations we passed. One spot looked like it might have been an arch in the past. We could visualize an arch with two sandstone columns that might have been joined across the top, with broken segments of sandstone lying at the base. We got out our metal detector and began working in a grid pattern. In one sandy spot, we got a good reading, so we dug down a few inches. The reading got better the deeper we dug. Occasionally, we'd run the detector over the dirt we had dug out, but it didn't register at all. Whatever the detector was picking up was definitely still in the hole. The sand flew for a while until, to our dismay, we hit sandstone at a depth of about 2 feet. Still, the detector kept indicating something valuable in the hole. Discouraged, sweaty, and sunburned, we took a break to mull over the problem. A sudden thunderstorm cooled us off but forced us to halt our plans abruptly. As the rain showed no sign of stopping, we knew we had to leave quickly to avoid getting stuck in Potter Canyon. One of our vehicles was a conventional station wagon, not suited for deep mud. Wet and discouraged, we finally made it home. Something was definitely down in that hole, and there's no telling how close we were when the downpour chased us off. However, we knew we couldn't dig any deeper because of the sandstone. We considered digging around or burrowing under it. We planned to go back right away, but one thing led to another, and we kept postponing our trip. The amount of work necessary to bypass the sandstone was daunting. We occasionally talked about going back to Potter Canyon, but we never did, though we came up with all sorts of theories about our experience. We eventually concluded that Wharton might have placed a slab of sandstone over the gold before filling the hole with sand. Assuming our metal detector had indeed reacted to Wharton's loot, we theorized that when the arch collapsed, a chunk of it ended up resting over the buried gold. Over the years, sand likely washed down from the hill, covering the sandstone. On such a slope, what was on the surface 100 years ago could now be buried under several feet of sand. And so, our search ended there. Whatever lies beneath that sandstone could be treasure or trash, we have no way of knowing. As far as anyone knows, Wharton's buried loot remains undiscovered. If you have a free weekend and a metal detector, it might be worth a try. Thanks for watching. If you'd like to read the original article or purchase the magazine from which it was taken, please check out our website, truetalesofburiedtreasure.com.